Welcome back to the first, I was going to say the latest, but I'll be lying because it's the first FBU Masterclass. Today we have Stu on, and today's Masterclass is about sales. Reason being, Stu does our sales, along with Vicky, but Vicky decided she didn't want to be here today because apparently Dubai is a much nicer place to live.
It's quite far away.
And she didn't want to come all the way from Dubai to Liverpool. So
She probably would have got here a bit earlier than me though, to be fair.
Traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just late for everything.
I mean, Emirates, it's pretty much just a straight,
It's just a
straight shot, innit?
Yeah. I only have to go through the tunnel and we're still late.
So we're going to ask a few specific questions about sales. So hopefully you can get some really amazing sales tips that will help you grow your business in here. If you haven't already, please make sure that you hit the bell notification to notify yourself and subscribe to the channel so you can get notified when we do more masterclasses for you. This is for you to help yourself. So fucking hit the button.
It's proper YouTube, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like and subscribe.
Like it, yeah, but I try and do it in a little bit of a different way.
Okay.
So, Stu, I'm going to ask you some questions that I think people get a lot of value out.
Cool.
First one, start off with the negatives. What are the biggest mistakes that you see online or even just personal trainers, any kind of online fitness business in general make that they need to fix right now to improve the sales?
I think part of it comes in the qualification process. There's loads that I could get into, but one of them is sometimes there's an assumption that it isn't a call where they're going to buy something. So you need to make it very clear during that process that this is a call where something is going to happen. And then the second mistake that they need to get over is not spending enough time, not being efficient enough in the icebreaker at the start when you want to build rapport, because that is going to be dramatic. Like, it's going to make a huge difference. You don't have to be weird about it, but you need to find some common ground very, very quickly. Ask them where they're from. Ask them what they do for fun at the weekend. Ask them if they've got kids, if you work in that side. Just find something that you can break the ice with and try and get a bit of a laugh out if possible. And then straight after that is setting the agenda so that the person, again, on the call is 100% clear about what this call is all about, so that there's no surprise or like uncomfortability around the fact that you've now pitched them a program. So in the early stages, that 100%. As you get into the call, a big mistake is not digging deep enough into their main sort of pain points and reasons why they're here. You don't have to get them all emotional about things, but you just really need to diagnose the problem and really understand what it is and summarize that back to them so that they can feel like they're being heard. It is one of them. So dig deeper, ask questions like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah. So
you say you want to lose a stone, but what do you actually mean by that? Sounds like a weird question to ask, but it's not really, because they're going to have to answer it because you've asked them the question. Whatever it is, I want to lose a stone because I just feel really unfit and I don't like getting in pictures, on holiday. So when you say you don't like getting in pictures on holiday, what do you mean by that? Can you just explain that a bit more? How does that make you feel? Those kind of things, really dig into it. And then one of the biggest things, like after that, there's a few more, but what I would say is listen more. Just listen and let them do the majority of the talking. Your job is to ask questions and listen, not lead the witness and tell them what they should be thinking or should be feeling. Avoid saying, oh, so does that mean, no. They need to be the one that actually tell you what it is, because otherwise you're putting new thoughts in their head and it's not what they're thinking. So that's what I would say are main major mistakes.
I feel like that's more of an intermediate sales mistake. I feel like that's not a beginner sales mistake. That's people that know kind of what you need to hear to get the sale. So they try and put it on them. I've reviewed some sales calls of clients where they've been like, for example, I don't get in pictures on holiday. And they've gone, oh, so do you feel like you're so self-conscious about yourself that you don't take pictures on holiday?
Yeah.
And then the whole kind of, the idea of taking the picture is ruined and you feel stressed about it. Yeah, is that what you think? And they go, yeah.
Or no.
Yeah.
Now you're screwed.
Well, even if they say yeah, but they say no in the head, then I've had that on a sales call before with actually like who's supposed to be a really high level salesperson. And they went, I know how you're feeling. And they told me 3 things and I was like, 2 of those are wrong. Like, you've only nailed one of them. You're 33% this slide and we're only 5 minutes in here.
It was a really bad habit of mine. And I got it cut on a different product. For quite a big name in the industry, and one of the salespeople was like reviewing it. He was like, "Stop leading the witness." I was like, "That sounds cool, but what do you mean?" Is that you're telling them how they feel before they've even told you? And since then, every single time, it's like, ask the question, shut up, let them speak, let them follow, let them lead the conversation. So yeah, I'd say those are the major mistakes. I think you can overcome a lot of stuff by just handling those alone.
Mm-hmm. What would you say the 3 like core skills are then of good sales? Like if you could break it down into like 3 really core skills, what would that be?
Confidence is one. I'd then say your ability to listen, and then your ability to solve problems. There could be loads more that go into that, but I feel like if you nail those down, confidence, they're going to believe you. They're going to trust you. You're going to have that authority. If there's hesitation in your voice, they're going to sniff it a mile off. You know, they'll know. They'll take control. Now you're screwed. The ability to listen is just obvious. It's not about you. It's about them. And the ability to solve problems. That's what sales is all about. You're there to solve a problem. You know, you've got to create solutions for them. But even in the sense of around like objections, can you solve the problem of finances, of I don't have time, of all these various different things? That's what I'd say is the 3.
Yeah. I'll throw another one in there of asking great questions.
Yeah.
The better you are at asking questions, you're going to get better answers.
I think you can ask better questions by being able to listen.
Yeah.
Like
no, I agree.
Listen.
Yeah. Because it informs your next level of questioning, right?
Questions come easy then, because they'll say something and you can literally say, oh, so what does that mean then? Or like, can you explain what that means? Or blah, 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 blah. So yeah, asking great questions is one.
You just mentioned about taking control of the call and making sure that you're in control of where the call goes. What would be your biggest tips on how to make sure that you stay in control of the call?
Okay. So setting the agenda at the start. So explaining to them exactly what the call is all about and what's going to happen. And then at the end of the call, you know, I'm going to ask you some questions. I'm going to take some notes, yada, yada, yada. And at the end of the call, if I feel like you're a good fit, I'm going to give you the opportunity to sign up. Now they know exactly what's going to happen. In other areas of taking control of the call is, for example, if you ask a question and they start to go off on a bit of a tangent that's not relevant, wait for the ability to kind of interject and bring them back on the path that's needed. You're not trying to interrupt them and say, oh, no, you know, we weren't talking about that. We want to get back to it. But one way that I'll do is I'll wait for a pause where they're like, because if they're off on a tangent, they've forgotten where they are. So as soon as they pause, I'll say, okay, cool. So back to where we were talking about before about X, Y, Z. Tell me what that means then. Just take control of that. And if they try to derail the conversation in certain ways by saying, no, I just want to know how much it is. Having the ability to say, okay, we will come to that, but I'm going to have to ask you some questions first. Not panicking, basically. Don't panic and don't let them be the ones that dictate where the conversation is going to go. This is your process and they need to understand that.
One of the biggest, I think, bugbears for coaches, or one of the biggest things that I know, and you'll probably hear it all the time, is when they get to the end of a call. Obviously, they've worked very hard to book this call. They get to the end of the call and then the client goes, yeah, I just need to go away and think about it. And then they never speak to them again.
Yeah.
What are your biggest tips for coaches on how to stop that happening? What things can they put in place to ethically make sure that they at least get some sort of resolution? Because in my opinion, you have to get a resolution. If you get a resolution, then you can work from it. If you know why they didn't sign up, you can do things to inform that. If you don't get an answer at all, it's almost like you've not got closure. So what would be your biggest tips?
What's happened next? So I think a lot of the time when they say they need to think about it, there's a few reasons why. A very basic one is they're just trying to be polite. They don't want to tell you no, so they'd rather just ghost you. Another thing is fear. They're just scared about making the next decision. Like they want to do it, but they're actually just a bit scared. So it's having to commit right now. It's the issue. Or they don't believe you. You've not done enough to kind of show them. So prior to getting that objection, obviously you need to do a good job of presenting everything and covering all the issues, really diagnosing the problem, separating it away from where they really want to be. But then asking important questions around, you know, is it something that you're ready to move forward on today? If they've told you yes, they can't, then why would you let them then go away and think about it? They just told you that they're ready to move now. If you get to that point, you know, whatever, and they do give you, I'll think about it, ways to get resolutions. A simple question is when you say you need to think about it, what exactly do you mean by that? Not even what do you need to think about, what do you mean by that? Because sometimes they'll go, oh, I don't get paid till Friday. Okay, can you put a deposit down? Cool. I need to think about it. Oh, I don't know if, you know, I just don't know if I've got the time. Well, previously we spoke about that time wasn't, you know what I mean? You can go back and start to handle those objections, but it can get to a point, depending on how hard you kind of want to push them. You can kind of go down the route of, well, needing to think about it is usually an information problem. And I'm the one with the information. So ask me the questions you need and we can kind of get to a resolution. But at the very least, I'm going to need a deposit and you've got 24 hours to think about it. And if they still won't give you a deposit at that point, they're probably not going to buy. So take control and say, okay, at this point then, I don't think you're going to be a good fit for the program. It's up to you what you do next. Sometimes they give you a deposit. Other times they go, okay, fine, thanks very much. And then see you later. So that's what I would personally do. Realistically, you don't want to get that. So you'd handle those objections throughout the call itself.
Cool. And then finally, one of the other big things is just like they worry about finances. They worry about talking about finances. And I think maybe from a sales aspect, something that they could get a lot of info out is when people ask them about price.
Yeah.
And they're very bullish about price straight away. What would be your ways of handling that? So
if I've set the agenda, whatever, and they've come in and said, I just want to know how much it is. I would always start off with saying, we are going to get to that, but I just want to make sure that you're a good fit first, because there's no point talking to you about prices if you're not actually a good fit for the program. I want to see if I can actually help you first. If they're persistent with it, I would just say, is price going to be the deciding factor? If they say yes, I say, is it a case of you don't know if you have enough money for the program? So would it be a case of finance options? Like, what is the problem here? And if they basically go down the route of saying, I'm skint, yada, 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 et cetera, find out if it is a priority. If it's something that they genuinely want changing, just in a few short questions. You're trying to get to a point where you feel like you can either continue the conversation or it's best just to leave it where it is, tell them the price and move on, because they're probably not going to buy anyway, is what I'd say at that point.
What would be the deciding factor on whether you just cut that conversation off then? What kind of things are you looking for?
If they were to be really persistent with the price, I would say, listen, if you're going to be a good fit, it turns out there would actually be this much money. If they turn around and say, if they're already kind of and ahhing it, then this is going to be a full call of me trying to actively convince that it's worth the money, rather than showing you the product, the service, the value first, and then you applying the monetary value to that last. Do you know what I mean? So I would just be a case of, so it's this much money. If they can and ahhing already, I'll say, I'll take the decision away from you. Like, this is where we can go with it. Come back when you're ready or you've got the money. There's no point trying to waste time with people like that, to be honest, because they've made a decision already. So you're going to spend too much time convincing and showing them how valuable you are, rather than here's my process to get you to that point. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, that's probably how I'd look at it.
Cool. And if you could give to somebody one thing to change overnight about their sales process that will instantly help them, what would that be?
Confidence. Rinse and repeat your process. Get on as many calls as possible, because regardless of what tactics or whatever else are in place, you need confidence. Just speak with confidence, clarity, confidence. You'll be fine. You'll sell way more people than you'll think you will if you're just very confident with the process. Back yourself to do it.
Brilliant. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We've got more of these masterclasses coming. Thank you very much for coming on, Stu.
All good.
And if you want to speak to Stu, book in a call with us and you can speak to Stu.
Like and subscribe.